Hello everyone, welcome Charlotte Culinarians. We are going to be making some bread pudding today. What does everyone always have left over at their house that we never know what to do with? Bread, right? So don't ever throw your old bread away. Or good bread for that matter. We want to make a delicious bread pudding so we can have something not only for breakfast but also a nice dessert with the bread that we are going to use. Our ingredients that we're working with today, the first item that we have is eggs. We have 12 ounces of whole eggs. Well, Chef Amy is what my students call me. How much does an egg weigh? About a half an ounce. So 12 ounces of whole eggs, and then we have 6.5 ounces of sugar. We have 10 ounces of whole milk, and then we have some vanilla extract. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cube my bread and get it ready. I have prepared my cutting board. I have cleaned and sanitized all of my equipment, made sure that my cutting board is secure on my table. I am going to use a serrated knife to cut my bread with today. Why am I using a serrated knife? A serrated knife has the edges in the knife. It makes it very easy to cut soft ingredients such as my bread. So I'm just going to cube them into about 1-inch pieces, right? So if you think about an inch, think about your first knuckle. It's about an inch for everyone. And I'm just going to start using my knife skills. I'm going to use the bear claw method, holding my knife securely in my right hand. Of course, if you're left-handed, either way, just kind of tuck my knuckles under so I don't cut myself. And I'm going to go ahead and start to cut my bread. Now, if you're only comfortable doing one piece at a time, then just do 1 or 2 pieces at a time, whatever is easiest for you. All right? So today I'm just using some artisan bread that was left from some sandwiches that we made the other day, and we had used up all of our other ingredients, so we have this great bread, so we're going to make this delicious bread pudding today. All right. So just gently cutting them. I want to make sure that I'm not smushing my bread pieces together, but cutting them in nice even pieces. If you can see the chunks here. And I'm going to go ahead and just toss them back into the same bowl. And then I'm going to mix them together here with my other ingredients in just a moment. So finish cutting my bread. If you have croissants, if you have donuts, one of my favorite bread pudding recipes is actually a Krispy Kreme bread pudding recipe, where I take my old Krispy Kreme stale donuts, or Dunkin' Donuts or whatever donuts you might like. I had a student that used to work for Dunkin' Donuts, and he would bring us leftover donuts all the time to class, and we would make great bread pudding with it. The students would just rave over the pudding. But what's better than donuts? French fries? I've never tried it with French fries though. So I've got all of my bread cubed. I've used about 10 ounces of bread, about 6 slices. Just gonna kind of push my little breadcrumbs here to this side. Next step, I'm going to go ahead and make the custard that I'm going to put in with the bread. So taking my large mixing bowl, the first ingredient I'm going to add are my eggs. Again, this is 12 ounces of whole eggs. Go ahead and mix those in there. Give them a little swirl to kind of get them going. And anytime you're baking anything, if you want to let your eggs sit out and get to room temperature, it does make them a lot easier to mix. Next, I'm going to add the sugar. This is just white granulated sugar. I want to make sure that as I'm using my whisk, that I'm kind of moving my ingredients all around the bowl and incorporating all of the sugar in here with the eggs. You can see it's starting to get nice and thick. Okay. If you don't have a whisk like this, when you're doing it, you can use a spoon or a fork. I think a fork might be a little bit easier to get the eggs mixed in. My favorite tool is to use the whisk, however. Next, I've got that pretty well incorporated. I'm going to go ahead and add the milk all at one time. A lot of milk in there. And get that all mixed in. Okay. Lastly, I'm going to add my vanilla extract. If you like other flavorings, you could add an almond extract or vanilla. Any kind of flavor that you like can be added to the bread. So now I've got my custard all mixed up here, ready to go. Just a couple simple steps. And now I'm going to take my bread and put it in with the custard. Get all those bread chunks out of there. And mix this all together. I want to let these fully submerge and sit for just a short time, not real long, maybe just about 5 minutes or so. And then we're going to go ahead and portion them into our custard cups. The little bugger stuck in there. There we go. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and set this one aside. I went ahead and prepared one ahead of time so we could see it quickly. And here you will see the difference between, once the bread has absorbed, you'll be able to see the difference in the product and how this one's already kind of soaked in versus this one that's still working, getting soaked in here. Now I've got a small pan that I'm going to portion my bread cups in. These are just a small souffle cup. And you can use any kind of small ramekin, anything that you could put in the oven will work. Okay. I also have a couple flavorings for my bread pudding. I've got some mini chocolate chips and I've got some raisins. My challenge to you would be find your favorite additive. If you like nuts or craisins or cherries, any kind of dried fruit would be really flavorful in your pudding. So I'm just going to go ahead and start to portion it out. Going ahead to scoop each of these into the small cup here. So I'm also setting these right inside of a baking dish. When I'm all done portioning, I'm going to put a little bit of water, about 1 inch of water in the bottom of my pan. So when I bake them in the oven, they don't over brown, but they get that nice custardy flavor. It would be the same thing if you were going to be making a creme brulee or any type of custard. Some of them I've got a little more full than others, so I'm just going to go back and use some of my egg mixture here to make sure I fill all of my cups evenly. Let's add a little bit more here in these ones. See where we're at. Okay, and then I'm going to add a few of raisins to some of them. Just top them in here. And then we'll do a couple with the chocolate chips. You don't want to put too many in there, just enough to give it some nice flavor, but not overpowering in your custard. Kind of going to go back and tuck these in a little bit. Now make sure when you're serving a crowd, if you're serving and you decide that you would like to add nuts in it, that you make sure none of your guests or none of the people have any kind of nut allergies. We want to make sure that everything we serve is safe. Okay, and that is our bread pudding. I'm going to bake this in the oven. I'm going to add a little water in here and bake it at 325 degrees for about 10 minutes. Okay, and that's your bread pudding.